Hey, Shalom. All praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Honorable mention to you, Akim, out there prophesying in sincerity, truth, and diligence. Peace and salutations to the hopeful and faithful scattered elect. All right, I'm going to do a quick commentary on this video called The Wrath of Esau, Part 2 of 2, GMS Manatazaki Hawada, on the page of GMS The Work at Work. All right.
Take the female and run a series of tests on her to see if she will submit to your desires willingly. Test her in every way because she is the most important factor for good economics. If she shows any sign of resistance in submitting completely to your will, do not hesitate to use the bullwhip on her to extract that last bit of bitch out of her. Take care not to kill her, for in doing so you spoil good economics. When in complete submission, she will train her offsprings in the early years to submit to labor when they become of age. Understanding is the best thing.
You hear that? He say with everything he said, at this point he said understanding is the best thing. Now let's get this should be 2 Corinthians. 1 second. 2 Corinthians chapter 2, starting at verse 11. It says, lest Satan should get any advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices. And okay, Satan, the spiritual entity Satan, plays out through the so-called white man. All right, the so-called white man being the biblical Edomite, who is the devil. The word devil means deceiver, who will not behold the face of the Lord. Let's go into the word devices. It says a mental perception, thought, and evil purpose. That which thinks the mind, thoughts, or purposes. Now let's click on this. 35, 39. To perceive with the mind, to understand, to have understanding. So he said understanding is the best thing. What? Understanding how to destroy the Israelite woman, the Israelite man, the Israelite child from their true purpose, right? They basically did a science experiment on us to subjugate us effectively and thoroughly, man. All right, press play.
Therefore, we shall go deeper into this area of the subject matter concerning what we have produced here in this breaking process of the female nigger. We have reversed the relationship in her natural, uncivilized state. She would have a strong dependency on the uncivilized nigger male, and she would have a limited protective tendency toward her independent male offspring.
It says she will have a strong dependency on the nigger male, meaning her husband, and a lesser restriction on her independent male child. All right? Because why? Men are the head. Okay? That's the order that the Lord made. Just a quick go to Genesis 3 and 16. It says, unto the woman he said, I will greatly multiply thy sorrow and thy conception. In sorrow thou shalt bring forth children, and thy desire shall be to thy husband, and he shall rule over thee. So a woman, in regard to her husband in her natural state, her husband rules over her. According, that's the way the Lord set it up. That's why they said in her natural, in her uncivilized state, which basically means she's not in adherence to their garbage. All right, but let's let it play again.
And would raise male offsprings to be dependent like her. Nature had provided for this type of balance. We reverse first nature by burning and pulling a civilized nigger apart and bullwhipping the other to the point of death, all in her presence. By her being left alone, unprotected, with the male image destroyed, the ordeal caused her to move from psychologically dependent state to a frozen independent state. And this
so in their process of destroying the so-called Negro male in the sight and the eyes of the Negro, so-called Negro women and so-called Negro children, they put the Negro woman in a psychological state of, they reverse her role of dependence on the male to a role of independence without the male, because he's no longer seen as an authority figure, a figure of protection. Okay.
Frozen psychological state of independence, she will raise her male and female offspring in reversed roles. For fear of the young male's life, she will psychologically train him to be mentally weak and dependent, but physically strong. Because she has become psychologically independent, she will train her female offsprings to be psychologically independent. What have you...
And just for and a quick comment on that, I experienced that personally, man. Being raised by so-called black women, particularly my grandmother. She was basically scared for my life. Didn't want me to go outside and do anything, or just wanted me to. But my younger sister, on the other hand, I'm looking, at her like just allowed to like gad abroad, basically. And I'm like, well, wow, what's that about? It's because it's about the systematic psychological mind play they played on women. That's why the serpent went to Eve, because the woman is the weaker vessel. So if you go to the woman and you destroy the male, the woman has no choice but to what? Depend on her own emotions and whatever the authority, which is the so-called white man, because he is an authority, whatever he deems to see fit. Now let's play.
That, you've got the nigger woman out front and the nigger man behind and scared. This is a perfect situation of sound sleep and
it says you have the nigger woman out front and the nigger man behind. They talking about the Israelites, the Israelite woman and the Israelite man, and they not doing that's just scripture, This is Jeremiah 31:22. It says, "How long wilt thou go about, O thou backsliding daughter? For Yahweh hath created a new thing in the earth. A woman shall compass a man." All right, to compass, surround, encircle, change direction. And that direction that they changed was from following the man to, in this times, leading the man, or not following him at all. Following the so-called white man and going our own way, right? Okay, press play.
Economics. Before the breaking process, we had to be alertly on guard at all times. Now we can sleep soundly, for out of frozen fear his woman stands guard for us. He cannot get past the early slave boating process. He is a good tool, now ready to be tied to the horse at a tender age. By the time a nigger boy reaches the age of 16, he is soundly broken in and ready for a long life of sound and efficient work and the reproduction of a unit of a good labor force.
And what you got to understand is that this was in slavery times, right? This was around the time when we was in hardcore bondage, hardcore slavery in America. But we still in slavery. The only thing is it's shifted from being predominantly physical to being predominantly mental. Like around this time, the physical was great and the mental was present as well. But now the mental is more present. So just because they say a 16-year-old boy is ready to be a productive member of the workforce, then that don't mean that's not true now. Because the things that Esau implies on our people also readies us for their workforce. Is only what? Their prison workforce. Their prison plantations working on them. They got all these celebrities, all these so-called rappers, all these entertainers glorifying crime, playing on the minds of the young male. So by the time that they 14 through 19, 21, they engulf themselves in lives of crimes like even with the black exploitation films, they glorify what's against the law of the Bible and against the law of what the so-called white man says is wrong. So now what? You put them in prison, and then you force them to have a job, and what? They in slavery all over again.
Continually through the breaking of uncivilized savage niggas, by throwing the nigger female savage into a frozen psychological state of independence, by killing the protective male image, and by creating a submissive, dependent mind of the nigger male slave, we have created an orbiting cycle that turns on its own axis forever, unless a phenomenon occurs and reshifts the position of the male and female slaves.
And that phenomenon is what? Unexplainable occurrence, or something to that effect. And what is that phenomenon that's going to shift what Esau, the so-called white man, has put in place upon the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans? That phenomenon is the Son of the Most High, Yahweh Shai. Now see, this is Deuteronomy 28 and 68. Because when you read Deuteronomy 28 and 68, first of all, we under the curses. That's the only reason why these devils are able to rule over us and subjugate us. It's not over their personal strength alone. It's over the authority that the Most High gave them. Now it says, and Yahweh shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships. It said the Lord shall do this. Because the Lord, what? The Most High rules in the kingdom of men. So he works on the minds of men to play out and execute his purposes, man. It says, and the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships. That Egypt is talking about America, which is spiritually Sodom and Egypt, talking about America. You got the pyramid on the back of the dollar. You got the obelisk for the Washington Monument. Okay. By the way whereof I spake unto thee. Thou and Egypt is one of the longest, hardest bondages the Israelites served. That's also comparable to America too. Thou shalt see it no more again, and there you shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you. That word buy goes into the word redeem. The word redeem means save. No man shall buy you or save you. Marcus Garvey will not get you out of this condition. Malcolm X won't do it. Stokely Carmichael won't do it. Dr. Martin Luther King won't do it. No man shall buy you. But what? That phenomenon, that unexplainable occurrence, or, that's Yahweh Shai, the Son of the Most High, whom the world stubbornly, ignorantly calls Jesus. That's what's going to buy or redeem or save us. This is Luke chapter 1, verse, let's see what 70 says. It says, I'll start at 68. It says, blessed be Yahweh, the power of Israel, for he hath visited and redeemed his people. Redeemed means save. And hath raised up an horn of salvation for us in the house of his servant David. That horn of salvation in the house of David is what? Yahweh Shai, the Son of the Most High. I am the root and offspring of David. It said, as he spake by the mouth of his holy prophets, which have been since the world began. Verse 71, this is the point. That we should be saved from our enemies and from the hand of all that hate us. So that's the phenomenon that's going to save us. Now, Yahweh Shai came to save us spiritually with his death, that we may redeem back to the Most High through him. All right? When he come back, this is Isaiah again. This is Isaiah 47, verse 3. Now, when he come back again, okay, he gonna save us physically out of the hand of you devils. He already freed us spiritually and mentally when he opened the seals of the book and opened up our minds to understand and receive the truth and to not be beguiled by your vain philosophies anymore. Now he coming to save us physically. This is Isaiah 47:3. Thy nakedness shall be uncovered, yeah, thy shame shall be seen. I will take vengeance and I will not meet thee as a man. Yahweh Shai already met us as a man, Okay. Able to bleed, able to feel pain, okay. Able to slip, trip, he not meeting us that when he come and visit the world again to redeem his elect and destroy his enemies, he gonna meet the world as an angelic force, as a celestial power. Okay? Let's go back to the video. That's that phenomenon.
We show what we mean by example. Take the case of the two economic slave units and examine them close. The Negro marriage. We breed two nigger males with two nigger females. Then we take the nigger male away from them and keep them moving and working. Say one nigger female bears a nigger female and the other bears a nigger male. Both nigger females, being without influence of the nigger male image, frozen with an independent psychology, will raise their offspring into reverse positions. The one with the female offspring will teach her to be like herself, independent and negotiable. We negotiate with her, through her, by her, negotiates her at will. The one with the nigger male offspring, she being frozen in a subconscious fear for his life, will raise him to be mentally dependent and weak but physically strong. In other words, body over mind. Now, in a few years, when these two offsprings become fertile for early reproduction, we will mate and breed them and continue the cycle.
That's why the scripture says, menstruous women shall bring forth monsters. That's in the book of Sirach, real quick. Because they said we take the male, we breed the male with the female, and we put the male in the field. Okay? While we put the male in the field, he's not there to institute any authority over the upbringing of the child. So you just got a woman that's just ruled by her emotions, raising a man. Okay? So the man grows up emotional like the woman, not able with a sound mind to execute proper manly judgment. Let's see if I can find it real quick. This is is that Esdras? Where it says, "Mistress women shall bring forth monsters." Salakia, let me find this real quick. I just want to make a quick point. Because I went into that word monsters. Oh, yeah, it's Esdras. All right, the water. This is 2 Esdras 5:8. It says, "There shall be a confusion also in many places, and the fire shall be oft sent out again, and the wild beasts shall change their places, and menstruous women shall bring forth monsters." Menstruous women, men without their husbands, men who are emotional, PMSing, all right, unclean in their moon cycle, shall what? Bring forth monsters. Because a man is supposed to, be that influence over the raising of children. Now I looked up that word monsters in the etymology. So real quick, this monsters, mistress women shall bring forth monsters, right? I'm just gonna jump right to the point. French, from the Latin. Okay. Oh, repulsive character, a ill character, a bad personality, a terrible way of a terrible perception, a terrible way of perceiving and understanding things. All right. Object of dread, awful deed, abomination. All right. It was a little bit more. Person of inhuman cruelty or wickedness. And that's what you see with these little nigglets running around, man. All these single parent households, with the single parent being predominantly a woman, the woman being able only to give a one-sided emotional view of things in her teaching, the upbringing of the children. You got these kids wicked, person of inhuman cruelty or wickedness, calamity, terror, distress. That's the mistress women shall bring forth monsters, which was propagated by the so-called white man, the Edomite. We breed two nigger. Now you got to think. Now this is slavery times. This is slavery times where we was under harsh bondage and mental bondage, but it was more physical than mental. Then it went, now in the time it's more mental than physical, because what you got the welfare program, which what the man can't be in the household, which was, I think that's about the 60s or the 70s. The man can't be in the household. Okay, so the man can't be around. You done came up with the a brother did a video that's called feminism with its racist roots, or something to that effect. The feminism came, and you got these so-called Negro women hollering that strong black woman garbage. I don't need a man. So Esau still, even hundreds of years later, still institute that ideology, okay, of keeping us separate from each other. The man, keeping the Negro man ruling over the so-called Negro woman, whether it be physically, when he got us in hard slavery or bondage, or whether it be mentally, when he just ruled us through his unrighteous decrees, through his law, through his legislation. All right, back to the video.
That is good, sound, and long-range comprehensive planning. Earlier, we talked about the non-economic good of the horse and the nigger in the wild or natural state. We talked about the principle of breaking and tying them together for orderly production. Furthermore, we talked about paying particular attention to the female savage and her offspring for orderly future planning. Then more recently, we stated that by reversing the positions of the male and female savages, we created an orbiting cycle that turns on its own axis forever unless a phenomena occurred and reshifts positions of the male and female savages.
And that phenomenon that's going to occur, that's going to set everything in right order, is Yahweh Shai. All right? This is, you're going to get Isaiah 29, right? This is Isaiah 29, verse 16. It says, surely your turning of things upside down shall be esteemed as the potter's clay. For shall the work say of him that made it, he made me not? Or shall the thing framed say of him that framed it, he have no understanding? So Esau, the Edomite, the so-called white man, that is who you are. You done turned things upside down. You done went completely, cleanly contrary to what the scripture says. But it shall be esteemed as the potter's clay. Because the Lord gonna turn it, Yahweh Shai gonna turn everything right side up. All right? Play again.
Our experts warned us about the possibility of this phenomena occurring, for they say that the mind has a strong drive to correct and recorrect itself over a period of time if it can touch some substantial original historical base. And
okay, let's hear that again.
For they say that
we gotta hear that part again.
Male and female savages, we created an orbiting cycle